Good morning and welcome to another episode of Tom's Gadget Garage. Today we're taking the VMAX VX4 LT edition on a range test. Now VMAX does claim that this scooter can get up to 34 miles of range in ideal conditions. Today we're going to see just how much distance we can squeeze out of this battery. Now for today's ride we are going to be cruising around on the Powerline Trail, which is the same route that I take with all of my scooters and e-bikes. That way we can make this as standardized as possible. Something else to mention is that I do have the top speed for this scooter set to 20.4 miles an hour, which is as close to 20 as I could set in the settings on this scooter. And for all of my commuter scooter tests, I set the speed to 20 miles an hour. That way, we can get as close to apples comparison as possible. You know, when it comes to manufacturer claimed range, it's usually a theoretical range, with a rider of a, given weight riding in very controlled conditions. Usually a 165-pound rider cruising around in the weakest speed mode, in this particular case, eco mode. For today's ride, I do weigh in at about 203 pounds. And so that's definitely something to factor into the equation. For tracking today's ride, I will be using Garmin GPS, as I do with all of my range tests. That way we have the most accurate and consistent way to track these rides, as well as provide a comparison between some of this scooter's competitors. I don't think I've seen a horse on this trail before. Now, I don't want to forget to mention this, but for today's ride, I am cruising around in sport mode. This VMAX VX4 LT has two primary driving modes, Eco and Sport. Surprisingly, both speed modes actually get you to the same top speed. The difference is, power and acceleration settings are a little more subdued in Eco mode for that range priority. And as I mentioned in the first impressions video, this scooter does have a full suspension. So you've got, hydraulic front fork suspension with approximately 2 inches of travel, and then you've got a rubber block suspension in the rear. And I'll tell you right now, based on the riding that I've done so far, this suspension is very smooth, very comfortable, and most importantly for me, it's very quiet. Something that I really like about this VX4 is that it gives you a couple different readouts for battery. One, you got a percentage at the top right corner. It also gives you the battery voltage, which in my experience is always going to be the most accurate way to determine how much juice you actually have remaining in the tank. So one of the really nice things about VMAX is that they offer their scooters in different battery configurations, which is really nice because, sometimes you're shopping for a scooter and, it'll have one battery option, which may or may not, be sufficient for your needs. And if it's not, then often you're looking at another scooter. With VMAX, they give you, especially with this VX4, 3 battery configurations. And the configuration that we're cruising around on today is the 48 volt 13 amp hour battery. But they also offer a 18.2 amp hour battery on the ST version, as well as a 23.2 amp hour battery on the GT version. And so, if you want a bigger battery, it'll come with a little extra weight, but if you want a bigger battery that gets more range, you can absolutely do that with VMAX. And I think that's fantastic. All right, folks, so up ahead is our pedestrian bridge. It's gonna give us a little opportunity to test out the hill climb ability of this scooter. So we'll go ahead and see how we do. Once again, we are in sport mode, and here we go. Throttle is all the way in right now. Looks like we are maintaining about, on the display, I see 16, 17 miles an hour. Not too shabby, holding strong at that speed as well. All right, we are up and over. On the downside here, we'll have a good opportunity to test out the brakes on this scooter. So this VX4 does have a 160 millimeter disc in the rear. It's also got a front drum as well as electronic braking. So you get it all with this scooter, Some people have to make that decision. Do I go drum brakes? Do I go disc brakes? This one has it both, plus the electronic braking. Now for all of you keeping track, we just crossed the 6 mile mark. I'm showing about 83% battery on the screen, but voltage is a bit lower. We're gonna probably have our turnaround point somewhere around 49 resting volts. That way we give us ample opportunity to make it back to where we started. 49 or so volts is gonna give us about 65% battery remaining in the tank. You know, if you want to enable cruise control on this scooter, all you got to do is hit this power button 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then maintain a speed for 5 seconds, and then it'll actually engage cruise control, which we're in right now. The hands are completely off the throttle. We are cruising around at about 19 miles an hour right now. If you want to disengage that cruise control, you can pull on the brake lever or hit the throttle and it'll turn that off for you. In terms of the handling on this scooter, it is very stable, especially when riding around at speed like this. You know, I don't have to worry about a wobbly handlebar or anything like that. This scooter does have some caster in the front wheel, and what that does is it gives you improved straight line stability, because you know the way the geometry of that wheel is set up with the front axle behind the fork, the wheel itself actually has a tendency to always want to return to the center line, which is great for straight line performance. All right, we've got some train tracks here, clear on the left and right. See how the suspension does? Right up and over that. No problem at all. And we will start heading back in the direction from where we began this range test. So we're at about 8.5 miles right now. And we've been cruising around, let me see here, for about 40 minutes at this point. You might have saw that I took my hands off the handlebar. I don't recommend doing that, but I will say that on this particular scooter, it's very stable. You know, so right now, cruising around about 18 miles an hour, take my hand off the handlebar, I mean, it's very stable. Some scooters, you take your hand off the handlebar and you're almost immediately gonna eat it. So that's why I never recommend taking your hands off the handlebars. I don't know how well you can see the screen there, but even in these bright sunny conditions, no issue seeing it. Now, if you're curious how this scooter fits into the trunk of my Mazda CX-5, I'll go ahead and put a picture on the screen here, but as you can see, I didn't have to fold the seats down or anything. Actually fits in the trunk beautifully. All right, folks, so we officially crossed the 10-mile mark. In terms of battery percentage, we're sitting about 57%. Voltage-wise, at least resting voltage, about 48 volts. So we are making good progress. We've been cruising around now for about 46 minutes, so definitely making some good time here. Now, in terms of ride comfort on this VMAX VX4, it does have a 19.25 inch deck, which means I've got plenty of room for my feet. I do wear a size 10 shoe, and the way I normally ride these scooters is I've got my right foot forward and my left foot on the rear kick plate. So far, very comfortable. Handlebars are very comfortable. You know, because this is a stable scooter, no wobbly stuff, I can kind of relax my hands on these handlebars, you know. It's not a white knuckle experience at all. It's actually very relaxing. All right, here we go. Up our pedestrian bridge. Eat up our precious battery. 17 miles an hour. Like, yeah, we're still maintaining same kind of performance that we did the first time around. So that is nice to see. And we'll have another opportunity to test out the brakes. That rear disc and front drum brake, as well as the electronic brakes, give us ample control. So obviously we're doing our range test today, but you know, in the coming week or so, I'll also be doing our extreme hill climb test, and we'll do our endurance hill climb test as well, you know, up 1,900 feet of elevation gain. So stay tuned for that. It'll give you a very clear picture as to what the hill climbability of this scooter is. So something I do want to mention is that, you know, VMAX did send this to me for review purposes. I've actually had my eye on this brand for quite some time, and so I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be able to, you know, test one of these things out. But, you know, if you do want to purchase one of these scooters, I will include an affiliate link in the description below, as well as a coupon. And if you use that link to make your purchase, it absolutely helps support this channel keeps the wheels moving on future reviews. You know, and if there is something in particular that you'd like me to test out, let me know in the comment section below. You know, I'm open to whatever ideas, you know, folks have. All right, we are back to riding off the beaten path again. One of the things that I really like about this scooter is the fact that it's got lots and lots of ground clearance. So if you do have to go over some urban obstacles, or if you find yourself cruising on some bumpy, hard-packed dirt, at least you won't be scratching the bottom of your beautiful scooter. Oh, looks like we got some nasty mud here up ahead. Go ahead and transition onto the grass, go around this disgusting stuff. So I don't know how well you can see it here on the screen, but the controls for this scooter are easily accessible by your thumbs. You know, you don't have to like hyperextend your fingers to, you know, change your speed setting or engage your turn signals or anything like that. Go ahead and zip on through this area here. We're still able to hit 20 miles an hour or so, even as we wear down this battery. Zoom around through here. Really nice handling. As you can see, we are comfortably cruising around on this hard-packed dirt, maintaining 16, 17 miles an hour or so. It's got really good traction. You know, that's why it's nice to have hybrid tires if you're going to be riding on and off the beaten path. If you're going to be primarily riding on the streets, you know, street tread's more than sufficient, but at least with this scooter, you got some options. Got a horse here. For all of you keeping track, we just crossed the 14-mile mark. Percentage says we've got about 41% voltage, just sitting at around 46.7. Go ahead and use our bell here. So we're gonna go ahead and cruise around the neighborhood because we still got plenty of battery remaining. I may have turned around too soon, but I'd rather do that than, you know, walk a scooter for miles. From a range perspective, one of the scooters, I guess it's kind of a competitor, it's a dual motor scooter, but similarly priced. It's the Apollo Go. And that particular scooter, I was able to get just over 19 miles of range on a full charge. So we'll see if we can get to that benchmark today. Then right after the Apollo Go is the Segway VMAX G2. That there was 22 miles of range. And then right after that, we got the ZT3 Pro at 23 miles of range. This is definitely a beautiful place to cruise around. Nice green trees, got some water features out here. Perfect temperatures. Definitely my favorite time of year in Arizona, that's for sure. In terms of speed, I think I'm starting to see a little bit of a downtick here in top speed. Acceleration is still on point though. But as you can see, you know, from a stability standpoint, this is a very fun scooter to cruise around on, carve around the neighborhood streets. Come into this turn here. We'll come into another one. Yeah, definitely confidence-inspiring ride. All right, folks, so we've officially surpassed the range that we were able to get on the Apollo Go. So we're past that 19.2 mile mark. Next up is the Segway VMAX G2. We'll see if we can squeeze out a little more distance for that. Let's see, where are we sitting right now? 29% battery remaining. No load, 44.8 volts. Go ahead and hop into this bike lane here. Let's see, 20, yeah, we're still able to hit, you know, 20 miles an hour or so. Now I'm definitely feeling a little slow down in acceleration, so it's definitely not as peppy as it was earlier on in the ride, which is to be expected. You know, voltage is going down, we're getting you know, less output to the motors. So it'll definitely take time to get up to those top speeds. But, you know, we're still able to maintain 20 plus miles an hour, so. All right, we're officially below 20% battery remaining. We got bar on the screen turned red. Let's see how acceleration is. You know, it's still a little bit slower, yeah. Taking a little bit longer to get up to speed, but look at that, we're still able to maintain over 20 miles an hour. So we'll keep this range test going. They actually built a new grocery store here, which is pretty exciting. On their opening day, they were giving out a bunch of free groceries and stuff. Definitely took advantage of some of that. Definitely got some soft dirt here. A little bit of gravel, a little bit of everything. This is a construction site area, so hopefully we don't pick up any garbage. Whoa, cruise around here. Yep, definitely feeling a slowdown in acceleration. What's crazy is that like 6 months ago, this was a gigantic open farm field. You know, they were growing crops here. And now we got a grocery store selling produce. It's amazing how fast they were able to get this thing built up. Definitely feeling a slowdown in speed, as you can see. Oh, ooh, things are slowing down. Showing 3% battery remaining on the screen, 42.6 volts. See if we can at least make it back to our starting point here. And for all of you keeping track, we just crossed the 22-mile mark, which means we are now exceeding the range that I was able to get on the Segway 9-Bot Max G2. Next scooter in line that I've tested is the ZT3 Pro. That scooter I got 23 miles of range. All right, folks, I'm showing 0% battery remaining, about 40.8 volts, so we are at the end of the line. All right, and I'm seeing a dramatic reduction in power. We can only maintain about 8 or 9 miles an hour right now. Yeah, this is it. 40 volts, under load, no load 40.7. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and call this test. All right, folks, so there you have it. That was our range test with the VMAX VX4 LT edition. That's the version with the 13 amp hour battery, so the smallest of the 3 options from VMAX. On today's ride, I was able to get 22.63 miles. We had an average moving speed of about 14.6 miles an hour. We had a top speed at the very beginning, 22.3 miles an hour, elevation gain of 453 feet, and we were cruising around today for about an hour and 41 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and put a comparison on the screen for you so you can see how this VMAX VX4 LT edition does compared to some of its competitors, but very impressive results. Now let me know in the comment section below if you'd like to see me do a eco mode range test with this scooter, because as I mentioned before, eco mode will take you to the same top speeds. It just deprioritizes, you know, acceleration and torque and stuff like that, so you can maximize range. So if you want to see that, let me know. But overall, very comfortable ride. I had no kind of fatigue in my feet or hands. Very stable ride, and performance was definitely on point all the way up pretty much to the very end of the battery. And so anyways, let me know if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns. Happy to address those in the comment section below. And if you do want to pick one of these up, I will include a link as well as coupon code in the description below. As always, thank you so much for tuning into Tom's Gadget Garage. We'll see you next time.